The excavation site was supposed to be another routine survey, another chance to sift through layers of history buried beneath the Amazon's dense canopy. But when Dr. Evelyn Carter's trowel struck something unnatural beneath the soil, she knew at once that this was different. The structure was massive, impossibly deep, and older than any known civilization. Carved from a material that resisted all attempts at identification, its walls pulsed with an eerie iridescence under their floodlights. But the true anomaly came when they recovered the first remains. Bones, not fossilized, but preserved as if time itself had paused. DNA analysis confirmed the impossible. The remains were human or, more accurately, a genetic match to modern Homo sapiens. Not close, exact. Yet carbon dating placed them over 200,000 years old. The discovery fractured the scientific community. This was no missing link. This was a genetic duplicate of the present-day human species, existing long before our earliest ancestors were supposed to walk the earth. And then the signal came. It wasn't detected by radio telescopes or military satellites, but from within the structure itself. A slow, rhythmic pulse, buried beneath unknown encryption, transmitting a message into the void. It took weeks to decode, and when the final translation appeared on the lab screen, Dr. Carter felt her stomach lurch. Project Iron Root activated. Colony 935, confirmed status. Reintegration process initiated. Awaiting further orders. It was a recall order. Humanity had never been alone. It had merely been left behind. Governments scrambled to contain the discovery. Entire cities were plunged into blackouts as defense networks locked onto the incoming transmissions. The signal wasn't just going outward. It was receiving a response. And then the sky changed. A single object appeared above Earth, massive, silent, waiting. No invasion, no attack, only a simple message, broadcast across every screen, every device, every neural implant. You abandoned the war. You are called to return. The structure in the Amazon was not a tomb. It was a relay station, one of thousands, forgotten beneath the ruins of Earth's past civilizations. Humanity had not evolved here. It had been deployed here, and now the ones who had sent them across the stars were calling them home. But home was not what they expected. Home was a war still unfinished. Home was an empire waiting for soldiers to return. And the question Earth's leaders now faced was no longer what had been discovered, but whether humanity would answer the call at all. Because if they refused, the war would come to them, and this time there would be no running. The Vanguard, as the object in orbit called itself, did not communicate in words. It didn't have to. Within hours of its arrival, encrypted packets flooded Earth's networks, piercing the most classified firewalls like wet paper. The data was both an invitation and a demand: maps of distant star systems, battle reports spanning epochs, records of ancient conflicts humanity had no memory of fighting. And then came the orders, a list of names, thousands of them, prominent scientists, military strategists, world leaders. Some of them were already dead. Others were infants, barely weeks old. A few were still unborn, names that had no right to exist. It wasn't a request. It was a summons. Return to your origin. Take up your role. The war must end. And so Earth faced its first real decision. Every major world leader sat in the Geneva chamber, guarded by soldiers who weren't sure what they were guarding against. The Vanguard had made no demands beyond the message. No fleets had followed. No threats had been issued. But that made it worse. "This is a trap," President Adebayo of Nigeria spat, slamming a hand on the table. "They expect us to march into their war like obedient servants. What happens when we refuse?" Dr. Evelyn Carter sat at the far end, feeling the weight of centuries pressing down on her. Then we need to ask, what war did we abandon? Silence. Then the Russian Minister of Defense spoke, his voice even. We are missing the obvious question. If we abandoned this war once, how did we survive? The answer came from a place no one expected. From deep in the Amazon dig site, the relay had only been partially excavated, its encrypted core impossible to breach. That changed the moment the vanguard arrived. The structure responded, activating systems long dormant. Dr. Felix Moran, the lead technician, had barely finished relaying the summit's debate when a new message appeared, unprompted, scrolling across the ancient machine's interface. A warning. They found us. A cold chill ran through him. Who found us? He whispered. The relay answered. The ones we ran from. Felix stumbled back, calling for the others. We need to shut it down. We need to. Too late. A tremor shook the site as deep beneath the earth, something woke up. Across the world, deep within buried ruins and lost cities, forgotten technology stirred. Structures that had been buried for millennia, hidden beneath ice sheets, lost in the depths of the ocean, camouflaged beneath mountains, activated simultaneously. The relay station in the Amazon was not the only one. Earth was never just an abandoned colony. It had been fortified, because something was coming, something that had been hunting humanity across the stars, something we had once fought. And if the war was unfinished, it meant they were still out there, still looking for us. And now they knew exactly where to find us. The tremors didn't stop. From the depths of the Amazon basin, something ancient shifted beneath the jungle floor. Miles away, seismic monitors screamed as deep fissures split the earth. Across the world, the same phenomenon played out: Antarctica, the Sahara, the Mariana Trench. Something was waking up. And then the first scream came. Not a sound, but a signal, high-pitched, layered, like 1,000 overlapping voices all crying out at once. It didn't originate from space. Came from below. We were never abandoned. Dr. Evelyn Carter whispered as the realization hit. We were hidden. The summit erupted into chaos. Military officials shouted over each other, scrambling for explanations. But no explanation came, because the sky changed again. A second object appeared beside the vanguard. But this one wasn't silent. It was shattered, half destroyed, its hull ripped open as if something had torn through it from within. It tumbled into Earth's orbit like a dying animal, leaking atmosphere, flickering lights barely holding it together. Then the distress call arrived. The voice was fragmented, distorted, but human. You found relay must flee. And then, before anyone could respond, a second, more powerful transmission overrode it. A message not from the dying ship, but from the thing that had destroyed it. You thought time would erase your debt. You thought hiding in the dirt would save you. We are the architects of the end. We have found you again. The universe had not forgotten humanity. It had been waiting. The architects of the end were no empire. They were no conquerors. They were something older. A species that had never built, only destroyed. A force that had outlived civilizations, burning entire star systems to ash, erasing all trace of those who opposed them. And humanity had once stopped them. Not through diplomacy, not through surrender, through war. A war that had nearly ended the architects forever. But we had left something unfinished. We had left them alive. And now they were here. Within hours, the first signs of their arrival appeared. Across the solar system, hidden outposts, places humanity had no record of, began activating defenses that had been buried for eons. Moons of Saturn revealed old, decayed orbital platforms. Anomalies on Mars blinked to life. Deep beneath Earth's crust, Machines of an ancient war stirred. The war humanity had abandoned was waiting for us to return. And the architects of the end were already coming to finish what they started. Earth had a choice: fight or be erased. The world scrambled. Within hours of the architect's transmission, every military force on Earth went into high alert. Satellite grids scoured the solar system, scanning for anything incoming. Nothing. But they knew the architects were coming. The world's leaders reconvened, no longer debating if they should answer the call, but how. And then the Amazon relay spoke again. "You have forgotten your weapons." "We have not." A map appeared on every available screen, coordinates blinking in impossible places. Beneath the Greenland ice sheet, deep in the Atlantic rift, buried under the ruins of Göbekli Tepe, locked within the heart of Olympus Mons on Mars, the relics of a war long past. The world didn't hesitate. Excavation teams were deployed within the hour, and in each location the past revealed itself. Dr. Evelyn Carter and her team arrived first. The site was buried deep beneath thousands of years of ice, but beneath it, metal. Not natural, not human-made. A structure unlike anything on Earth, humming with power. They cut their way inside, stepping through corridors covered in a language that no one could read. And at the center, suspended in zero gravity, was the first weapon. A sphere no larger than a basketball, humming with contained energy. Dr. Carter reached out, her fingers grazing the surface, and the sphere responded. It split open like an iris, revealing an eye of shifting golden light. And the relay station spoke again. One of the last suns, the fire of a dying star, forged into war. They had not just fought the architects. They had fought with weapons made from the fabric of reality itself. Deep-sea drones reached the second site, plunging into the uncharted abyss. And what they found should not have existed. Ships, not rusted, not ancient wrecks. Ships that were waiting, hundreds of them, dormant, scattered across the ocean floor. Some were colossal, city-sized constructs that seemed to be carved from liquid metal. Others were sleek, aerodynamic, their surfaces shifting as if alive. Then their command consoles flickered on. The ships had been here before humanity had known the wheel. Hiding, waiting, for us to wake them. The archaeological team in Turkey made the next breakthrough. Beneath the ruins, a chamber. A single statue, humanoid in shape, but made of no material known to science. They ran tests. No heat signatures. No power source. Nothing. Then, the architect's second transmission rang through Earth's networks, and the statue moved. A humanoid construct, standing over 3 meters tall, its surface shifting like liquid mercury. Its eyes opened, and a single phrase emerged from its ancient voice. Command recognized. It wasn't a statue. It was a soldier. A soldier that had waited 200,000 years for orders. The final discovery changed everything. A team on Mars, long stationed there for routine research, had unknowingly built their colony atop the last great weapon. An entire gate system, hidden beneath the red sands, connected by a network of tunnels spanning the entire planet. Not just a bunker, not just a facility, a launch point for something far bigger than Earth had ever known. Humanity had not been abandoned. It had been put on ice. Weapons had been hidden. Ships had been preserved. Soldiers had been left sleeping. Because the ones who had fought before knew this war was never over. And now, as the architects closed in, Earth faced a choice. Would they take up the weapons left behind? Or would they, again, try to run? The world wasn't ready for war. But war didn't care. Across the planet, excavation teams worked around the clock to awaken the weapons left behind. The last sun, the sleeping fleet, the sentinel, the Martian gate, each a fragment of an unfinished battle. But having the weapons was one thing. Using them was another. The architects were coming. Humanity needed to know if their forgotten arsenal could still fight. Test site. The Greenland event. The last sun was the first to be tested. Dr. Evelyn Carter and a team of physicists transported the sphere to an isolated Arctic testing ground. Encased in a containment field, it pulsed like a dying ember. A military general stood beside her, arms crossed. What exactly is it supposed to do? The relay station in the Amazon had provided an answer. A weapon forged from the collapse of a star. A fragment of entropy. It does not fire. It erases. The test target. A decommissioned battleship, a steel behemoth set in the frozen wastes. They activated the last sun. A single pulse of golden energy erupted from the sphere, silent, unassuming. Then the battleship ceased to exist. Not burned, not destroyed. It was simply gone. The ice where it had stood was smooth, untouched. Not even heat residue remained. The general removed his sunglasses, speechless. Dr. Carter swallowed. It worked. The second test was at the Sleeping Fleet. Submarines carrying AI-assisted drones were deployed to explore one of the intact ships. It was unlike any human vessel, smooth, organic in design, a shape that seemed to shift depending on the observer's angle. A command console was found, written in an unknown language. Then the relay station spoke. The fleet recognizes its commanders. A single touch from one of the scientists, and the ship came to life. Water erupted in every direction as the massive warship rose from the ocean depths. Its hull adjusted, shedding millennia of marine growth as if shaking off dust. And then, for the first time in 200,000 years, it spoke. Awaiting directive. Test site. Göbekli Tepe Sentinel activation. The third test involved the Sentinel. The towering humanoid construct, part metal, part something alive, stood motionless for days after it first awakened. Then, at midnight, it moved. It walked to the edge of the site, knelt, and placed its hands on the ground. Earthquakes were detected across 3 continents. When asked what it was doing, the Sentinel's answer was simple. Verifying defense grid integrity. It wasn't a soldier. It was Earth's last line of defense. And it had just reactivated something beneath the planet. Humanity's final test was the Martian Gate. It took weeks to clear the ancient structure of sand and debris. The network of tunnels beneath Mars suggested something terrifying. Mars had been a war front, and the gate had been its most important weapon. When a drone was sent inside, the relay station in the Amazon spoke once more. Gate activation will expose our position. The world hesitated. Was it worth the risk? Then, for the first time since the Vanguard appeared, the architects sent another message. But this time there were no words, only coordinates. Something was already moving toward the solar system. The war was about to begin. Humanity had no choice. They activated the gate, and the solar system changed. The gate hummed, drawing energy from Mars itself. A pulse of unknown radiation swept through space. Something on Saturn's moons responded. Something on Europa stirred. Something buried in the asteroid belt awoke. Then the gate opened. A hole in space, a distortion that showed a distant battlefield. A war still raging beyond human comprehension. A battlefield humanity had once fled from. And now it was calling them back. The gate on Mars pulsed like a living thing, a rift carved through space itself. On the other side, distant explosions rippled through the void, evidence of a war still raging beyond human memory. But Earth had no time to process what lay beyond, because the architects of the end had already arrived. It started as a shadow against the sun, an object vast beyond measure, drifting past the outer planets, moving with intent. It was not a ship. It was something else. Something grown rather than built. Astronomers called it a moon-sized anomaly. But the relay station in the Amazon spoke again. Harvester-class vessel. Known as the Dark Horizon. Primary function. System-wide sterilization. The architects hadn't sent a fleet. They had sent a collector. A thing that erased civilizations before their empire even arrived. Humanity had only hours before it reached the inner solar system. The first battle of the war had begun. For the first time in 200,000 years, the sleeping fleet took to the sky. Ships once buried beneath the ocean rose from the depths. The Sentinel transmitted new tactical data, awakening long-dormant defense networks beneath Earth's crust. And the last sun, a weapon forged from the core of a dying star, was deployed to Saturn's orbit, aimed at intercepting the approaching harvester. The world watched in silence as ancient humanity's last weapons met the architects once more. The harvester did not fire weapons. It bent reality itself. As the first human warships approached, space rippled. Time stuttered. Ships that had once been moving forward folded in on themselves, collapsing into their own pasts. The first wave was gone before they could even fire. But then the sleeping fleet adapted. Ships reconfigured, matching the harvester's distortions, moving in ways no modern human ship could. And for the first time, humanity struck back. The last sun was launched, a small golden sphere, no larger than a human head, hurtling toward the harvester at impossible speeds. The harvester's defenses reacted, bending space around it, trying to erase the projectile. But the last sun did not explode. It simply touched the harvester's surface. And where it touched, nothing remained. The colossal vessel screamed. Not a sound, but a signal, a warning to the rest of the architects. Then, piece by piece, it collapsed. Entire sections vanished into nothingness. The last sun had done its work. And as the harvester drifted into the void, dying, Earth's forces realized something chilling. This was only the first. The architects knew humanity had awakened. And they would not send a harvester next time. They would send everything. The battle was over. For now. But the gate on Mars remained open. On the other side lay something humanity had once left behind. A war unfinished. An empire lost. And the answer to the biggest question of all. Why had humanity fled the first time? The world's leaders gathered once more. Do we wait for the next attack? Or do we step through the gate and finish the war we abandoned? The choice would define the next era of human history. And there was no turning back.